Hello, I'm Barralet and welcome to this Crystal Connections video where we're exploring different crystals that you can work with during a Mars retrograde. Now, first of all, you might be thinking, hold on, that background doesn't look too natural to me. You're used to me being out in beautiful places in nature. Well, for the next year or so, I'm based in a country called the Kingdom of Bahrain, which is in the Middle East. You can Google that later. And during this time, I'm not going to be able to get out in nature as much as possible. So some of my videos may be in this kind of more, domestic background. But I wanted to keep creating content for you that I hope you find really relevant, and that's what we're going to do right now. So Mars retrograde. What on earth is a retrograde? You've heard of Mercury retrograde, but did you know that all the planets go into retrograde? So what a retrograde actually is if you were to sit there and watch the sun throughout the day, it actually goes along this path in the sky. Now the moon actually travels on that same trajectory as well. Not only that, but all the planets go in the same way as well, along that train track. And what happens is occasionally when we're on one side of the sun and the planet is on the other, it looks like suddenly the planet slams on its brakes and goes backwards. Now it's not, that's just an optical illusion because we're traveling in different directions. Now, what has been noticed by our ancestors in this time is whenever any of the planets, as well as any of the asteroids, go into a retrograde motion, they're further away from us, their energy is taken away. So with Mars, we know that Mars is named after the god of war, and this is to do with our drive, our passion, our yearning to progress. It's also to do with our sexuality. So these things will start to go away. Now, of course, there are an opportunity for lessons when a planet goes into retrograde because we're not getting Mars's help to drive us forward, so we've got to motivate ourselves. How do we do that? Well, we're going to explore different crystals that you can lean into to support you during this Mars retrograde. So when Mars goes into retrograde, which is a bit of a rare event, it's actually one of the rarest when it comes to the planets. It goes into retrograde for about 40 days every 2 years or so. So you won't have this happening so often. But because it normally motivates our drive and what inspires us, and you can look at your birth chart in the position of Mars to really understand how you get your drive in life and what inspires you, when Mars is in retrograde, that drive's just going to diminish. Now, you may find that it's more effort to do things. You're not as inspired to kind of get up and, go to work or finish a project or initiate something new. And in these cases, sometimes, we can't just lay in bed for 40 days. We've actually got to get that drive going. This is where ruby, which of course is a fiery base chakra stone, helps to inspire that motivation. So if you are feeling a little bit lethargic or can't be bothered, then reach for a ruby. Place it in your pocket or wear a piece of jewelry and feel that fire energy helping to add an extra drive that you're not getting from Mars at this point in time. Now, one of the great opportunities is to really look at what truly inspires us. And this is one of the lessons of Mars retrograde, because if we don't have that motivation coming from outside and when there's no drive within, then maybe it's something we don't really want to be doing. So this is an opportunity to work out what your true passions are. Because I know when you're truly passionate about anything or something, it doesn't matter what the planets are doing, nothing can stop you. When I learn about a new crystal or a new essential oil, I'm so passionate about it, it doesn't matter what's happening outside, you can't hold me back. So often we're doing things in our lives that don't inspire us, that we feel obliged to do or that we have to do rather than we yearn to do. Working with Tugtupite, this is a beautiful crystal. It just looks white and black when it comes out of the ground, but when it's exposed to light or heat, bits of pink will flare up in it. It helps to, when we meditate with Tugtupite or work with it over a period of time, it helps to work out what ignites us, what lights us up inside, just as the pink comes up in this crystal as well. So during the day, you can work with your ruby to get that drive going and try meditating with Tugtupite as well. That's my bonus crystal in this video. That will help you to work out what your true passions are. And when you're connected with your true passions and you're devoting time, energy, and attention to that, nothing can stop you, no matter which direction Mars is traveling in. Mars is all about progression, about making something of your life and pursuing your goals and your ambitions. Obviously, when it's in retrograde, the drive to do this can be reduced, but we still want to be productive in some way. And this is where we can lean into another gift from Mother Earth known as Cinnabar. Now, Cinnabar is this beautiful bright red crystal. It's actually mercury sulfide. Now, of course, mercury sulfide, if we were to kind of consume this, don't go licking raw cinnabar, our body would react. It's actually quite poisonous. And so energetically, when we work with cinnabar, it evokes that energy within us, that drive. I often refer to cinnabar as the magician's stone. And what happens is a magician, if you look at the tarot, the magician card has on a table a wand, a sword, a pentacle, and a chalice, which represents physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And a magician is able to master all those different aspects of life. When we can control our physical well-being, we can control and understand our emotions, when we can focus the mind and be the master of our mind, and work spiritually to manifest and work in alignment with the universe, we have control of our life. And Cinnabar allows us to do that. So if you're feeling at the moment, during a Mars retrograde, things just are not turning out how they should, well, it's time to take control of what you can control, your physicality, your emotions, your mental state, and aligning with the universe by aligning with Cinnabar and start working in and bringing in what you want in your life, regardless of this Mars retrograde. One of the other things that can happen during a Mars retrograde is you start to get frustrated because things aren't going so well or things just aren't unfolding as you'd like them to. You probably prefer that other people just do it all for you, but they're going to disappoint you because they're being affected by Mars retrograde and not going to want to do things either as well. So it can be quite a frustrating time because that progression is not there. This is where we can lean in to Cuprite. Now, Cuprite is actually a copper-based mineral. Now, normally copper-based minerals are greens and blues. Think about things like chrysocolla, malachite, turquoise, azurite, and so on. These all have a very feminine energy, but Cuprite actually has quite a masculine energy and helps us to work with our masculine energy in a positive way. Now, in a negative way, the masculine energy can be quite pushy and aggressive and forceful. And if we've got an issue and an imbalanced masculine energy, whether it's underdeveloped or overdeveloped, and this can, regardless of what gender you identify as, we all have a yin, a feminine side, and a yang, masculine side. This is about empowering the masculine to be assertive, to be, planned or objective, to have structure in your life, and making sure that things are actually happening as well. Cuprite is a really good one to actually dispel worrying about things that you have no control over. And I mentioned that a second ago with Cinnabar, that work out what you can control and start altering your life that way, rather than trying to change things that you can't. So Cuprite works in this really powerful way as well, of letting go of that worry. So if you need to kind of bring in a bit of power and structure and yang energy into your life to get things working while Mars is in retrograde, definitely reach for your Cuprite. So far we've been talking about crystals to help get that drive going and to keep you productive during a Mars retrograde. But we don't want to just butt against the energy of the Mars retrograde. We want to lean into the lesson that comes up as well. So you're going to lack passion and drive to do certain things that really no longer kind of motivate you because they're not truly what ignites you within. So this is where we can lean into working with red jasper. And this is a really great one, especially to sit with in the evenings, or if you journal, or if you meditate, to kind of contemplate what's actually happening for you. You see, this is a stone that is quite closely related to Mars because it has a very strengthening and empowering energy, but it does this through more kind of settling and grounding rather than having that just fire, go, go, go. As we start to realize that there are things in our life that we're not passionate about, that we lack motivation because they're not really inspiring us, we need to start making some changes in our life. We need to start working out, what do I truly want to spend my energy, my attention, and my time on, and devote more passionate time to them. This is a stone of simplicity and allows us to realize what truly is meaningful for us, and then to cut out what no longer serves us in our lives. So lean into red jasper during a Mars retrograde to work out, okay, well, if I can't be bothered doing any things in my life that I'm meant to be doing now, what do I really want to do? What am I drawn to do? What am I motivated to do? What am I called to do? Red jasper can help you to determine that. The final crystal that works really well to align with during a Mars retrograde is hematite. Now, Mars is known as the red planet, and when we look up in the sky, we can actually notice a slight red tinge to it. This is because of the large amount of iron dust on the surface of this planet. Now, hematite, of course, is iron ore, and when you scratch this stone, you'll often sometimes see the red form as the iron oxidizes. So we can lean into this energy of Mars and the energy of hematite to kind of connect to this Martian energy. Why I love hematite at this time is it's such a grounding stone. And amidst all the lack of motivation and the aggression that can come when people are getting frustrated with each other, the lack of sexual energy that's there and the sexual frustration that can occur as well, we want to just settle. And hematite can be really great to pop a bit in each pocket or wear a piece or carry a piece just to help keep you grounded as well. The great thing about hematite is it's actually a stone of wisdom. Often when there's a lot happening, we kind of get overwhelmed or we get stressed and we don't think clearly. What hematite does is it actually grounds us so that we can see the truth. When we settle down, get out of the emotion, get out of the distress of it all, that's where the truth comes through. So we can take advantage of this Mars retrograde when we lean into the grounding aspects of hematite. So those are my favorite 5, or maybe I stuck a 6th one in there with Tugtupite, crystals for working with Mars retrograde. I'd love to hear in the comment section, do you have any of these crystals? Do any of them really resonate with you? Does this help with the current Mars retrograde that may be happening right now, and that's why you're watching this video? Your feedback is always welcome, and I love reading many of the comments, even if I don't get to reply to all of them. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. I'm Barralet. Blessed be.